Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the BrandTastic Podcast by 5 Star SEO. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
No, it's fun. We do Rachel and I do a fun podcast together where we just talk about random stuff. So I figure I have her on the business podcast today.
I'm really excited.
Because Rachel's been a teacher for over 30 years and she's starting a new endeavor, Unlearn to Learn.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So, like you said, 30 years, going on 30 years, and just being in that arena, the public education sphere for 30 years, and really the special education aspect of it. So I deal for most of my career with that like tier 2 child, the ones who very often
fall through the cracks.
Yeah, that, learning is
like us.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. That they just don't know how to learn, and there aren't enough minutes in the day and resources at teachers' fingertips, no fault of their own very often, to help those kids. So they just are sort of passed along, and then that disdain for learning that you and I had, and at that, and then you shut down, and what I've found in my little, microcosm of my self-contained classrooms over the years is that when I do project-based learning, there is just an unbelievable plethora of just skills that you can tap into that kids you never saw that they had in that traditional learning. So it led me to want to create a learning studio, an enrichment studio, where you can tap into that talent, and those skills are brought out by meeting you where you're at and what you bring to the table, and then saying, okay, great, let's start from here and build on so that you have small victories and you want to continue learning, whatever the arena might be.
Right.
So that's really what Unlearn to Learn is, the crux of what it's about.
Right. And so it's basically kind of focusing a little bit more on people's strengths
exactly.
than their weaknesses.
And really the model behind it is what they call in the educational arena, which is CRA. And they love acronyms in education. Everything has to be an acronym. So CRA stands for concrete, representational, and then abstract.
Okay.
Which is really the complete opposite of how we learn right now.
Wow.
In the traditional sphere, it's the opposite. We sit at a desk and we stare at books or a computer screen. And that's first how we learn. And then after we get this lesson from the teachers, then you apply it. But if you didn't, and then they hone it from there. Somewhere in between that delivery of instruction is where those tier 2 kids get lost.
Right.
They need that immediate concrete. They need the immediate buy-in. They need the immediate tactile, this has meaning right now. And then embedded in that comes those small wins and those small victories. So that's what U2L is really based off of.
And it seems like it's more like of a hands-on approach, like you said, right?
Exactly what it is.
So,
it does
so you get into the meat of it quicker.
Right away.
Yeah.
And then you can see where those kids' strengths are, and then where maybe they need to hone, not weaknesses necessarily, but just things that may not be as strong skills as the other ones. So you can use the other skills to help, elevate those other ones.
It's funny. I had an experience with that in the 90s. I went to a school called Germain School of Photography. It was a fancy schmancy photography school in New York City. I left Middlesex, who, believe it or not, trained me very, very well. But the beautiful thing about this school in New York is once you went in the first day, there was cameras on the tripod, the big view cameras with the cape over your head, and you just dove into it, man. And there were some people who had more experience than the others, and it was just so interesting and so fun. And then they backtracked to the technical stuff later.
Exactly.
They didn't bore you to death.
Exactly.
Silver halide, the chemical process. And
if the learner has no interest, that other technical stuff that you just said, it's not going to stick.
Right.
It's just not, because there's no
right.
basis for it's no meaning. It's just words. It's just this abstract concept, because if there's no camera in front of them, okay, what does that mean?
And I bet it's sometimes too, it's people don't realize how important the boring stuff is, because it is important.
It is. There's no doubt about it.
So when they go and work on stuff and they screw up because they don't know it, they're more likely to find it more interesting, maybe.
So I'm going to give you a prime example of of the traditional model not working in real life application skills.
Okay.
So I'm in my classroom, and the window in my classroom is broken, and they come in to fix it a year later, and they come in, and I never was around a year later, but okay. I wasn't around when measuring was done. I wasn't around to have any kind of conversation. Apparently it was done when I, at an off time. So the piece of glass was literally already measured.
Okay.
So they come in during my instruction, but that's for another issue. And they start putting it in, and they realize it doesn't fit. It is 1/8 of an inch off in thickness.
Right. Oh, in thickness. Okay.
So
it
it's useless.
Right.
Because if you put it in, it can't close at all, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I said to them, what's going to happen now? Oh, it goes in the garbage.
Yeah.
I said,
Cost.
It goes in the car. So the school district just paid to send them here to have this piece of glass made, which didn't fit. And now they have to make a new piece of glass that they're going to have to pay for probably again, and then pay for the labor for them to come back and install it, hoping it fits the second time. And I used it as a learning experience for my students because I said to them, like, that is something that they should have come like somebody somewhere sent them the measurements.
Right.
They did not do it hands-on first. So it was just whatever to them, and they cut the glass and they came and now they're screwed.
Yeah.
The hands-on is so important in every single aspect of it, and it gets lost nowadays.
Yeah. It's not, is it a time thing? Is it just unlearning?
It's an efficiency
You have
thing.
to unlearn.
Well, I honestly think that it is a time. I think it's an efficiency thing. I think that people try to get as much done as they possibly can, which is where the school system is.
Right. No, exactly.
So that's where. So
the system is just broken.
Yes.
Like literally, not just a cliche.
And listen, I'm a public school educator, and I come from a family of public school educators, and I love the public school system, absolutely. But there is a very, 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 very large flaw in the system that I think has, sort of made where there's this, great focus on honors programs and AP and accelerated and that kind of stuff. And then we've also, especially in our state, gotten, pretty good at the special education, really, kids who truly need intervention services, those related services, we're great at that also. But those middle kids that don't fit into the, the kids with ADHD who are brilliant, but they can't sit still for a 90-minute block.
It's so funny. I had a conversation with somebody who wasn't from this country, Ukraine or Russia, and they have a high level of like academics are important. The violins important.
Yes,
and that sort of thing. Like that.
Many different types of academics, not just
Yeah. So I was having a conversation with them probably 10 years ago with my about our kids, and because our kids are the same age. And we had such a different view, and it really struck me where he was worried about getting his kids ready for certain colleges and universities. And I was more focused as I want my kids to make a good living so they can experience great things. And it was a big bell ring. It was like, wow, thinking different than there was such a disconnect on what was important.
So let me ask you a question though. What made you think different? Like, what do you think trained your mind to not automatically think college?
Just because I've always had a business. But
even go back even further, your educational experience.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, it was a nightmare.
That's right.
Yeah. But
you didn't want to continue it really, right?
No, but I never shit on education.
No. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying. But you wanted it to be a professional leading type, a vocational geared.
I've always
not just to go to school for those general education courses.
I think when a senior graduates college, they should be on track to make a living. I mean, that's if you did.
You mean high school?
Yeah, that's
exactly.
I mean. High school. Like you should have a skill. Like it's maybe instead of having 5 or whatever it is 45-minute classes, have 3 3-hour classes or 3 2-hour classes.
Well, so that's where so U2L is sort of like if you notice the trends and it's very interesting. interesting. If you even look in our county, the magnet programs.
Yeah.
They're expanding.
No,
so
I know.
there was a really long time where there was like one, and they called it like the vocational school, right?
Yeah.
And, those were the kids probably that are tier 2
Sure.
who couldn't sit still in a classroom, loved to work with their hands.
Called troublemakers a lot too.
They were called 100% those.
Yeah.
That was it. But if you put them in a shop class or in a, a woodworking class, they were magic was happening, right? Like all over
and
the
not
place.
only that,
Innovative.
how
And
smart they are.
That's what I'm
That
saying.
doesn't mean, like,
magic was happening, innovation was happening, creativity was happening. They had ideas and all. But they didn't have an outlet. And now, and then they had these vocational programs. And then they kind of took them away. And it was looked at as bad if you went to them.
Yeah.
It's like a really, you go there? Like, and so that was for a little while. And now they're realizing, like, we need those just as much as we need the other.
Yeah, probably more. I
Well,
mean,
more, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny, the carryover with these kids who went to the vocational schools and now they're adults. When you talk to them, because I know a lot of them, they have a very almost low self-esteem about their intellect. At 40 or 50 years old.
Where do you think that came from?
No, exactly.
Honestly.
I'm just going to your point.
That came from society looking at them and saying, let's call it what we used to call blue collar.
Right.
I mean, but the problem is we have reduced, society reduced those roles until we needed them.
Right.
Like the pandemic.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, essential workers, those ones, the postal workers, they never stop. Thank you so much. And we stand outside our windows and we cheered them and we did, that all of a sudden then made us see. I honestly believe that was a little bit of a mind shift for people.
But now what's happening is, with all the data centers being built, the white collar workers, they need the blue collar workers to build these data centers.
Right.
The electricians, the plumbers, and getting everything, together. But So one of the things that I personally always get excited about is when somebody starts a business, especially somebody who's an adult, been working for somebody for years, and just seeing that transition, it really just makes me happy. And it makes me, because I really think that people's kind of mindset changes a little bit
100%.
About, like, you really can accomplish anything. I mean,
so it's so interesting that you say that, because I have worked, like you said, for somebody my entire career. Like when I was 10 years old, I started babysitting, and then, so I have always had a boss, even at a tiny level to a now where I have I have my principal and, my assistant principal and then principal supervisor, whatever. There's a million people above
which is
me.
interesting, knowing you so well that you're able to tolerate it.
Wow. So it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm a really good rule follower, believe it or not.
Yeah.
If the rules make sense to me and if I feel as though they're equitable and fair.
Yeah.
I have no problem following your rules. I have no problem doing your work if it's meaningful and there's a reason and there's an outcome and it's going to be positive.
Don't keep me busy just to keep me busy.
I hate that.
Yeah, me too.
I can't stand that. So what I have found is that the creativity that I used to have in education when I first started is gone. The credibility that teachers used to have is gone. Or
absolutely.
very, very low.
Yeah.
When I started in education, I was able to be creative within my classroom and find ways truly that made my kids learn the concepts the best way. And that ability has shrunk so much. So it's not the inability to follow the rules. It's the difficulty marrying the fact that you want me to do this when I know that's not in the best interests of the students who are in front of me. That is what I'm having the hardest time with. And that's what's weighed on me so much in the last, I would say, like 5 or 6 years, probably longer, but really in the last 6 years or so.
And you did something about it. You created a platform.
I got tired of, really for the kids. Like I got tired of the bells and whistles and the dog and pony shows when other people come around. But then when the door closes and there's nobody there, you're not, your students are truly not necessarily getting what they need to get. And so it becomes, but you know what, with that I'm able to do that now on this side of my career.
Yeah.
There are so many teachers out there who aren't able to have the voice that I have. So I think that's where this partly came from.
Yeah.
I'm on that other side
Sure.
now, and I have the knowledge. I have the experience.
And you have the enthusiasm.
I never didn't. That's the thing
No, I know you.
about
Yeah, I know,
this.
I know.
And that's,
Yeah.
and I want like the public to know, like, that's the thing about education. Most of these teachers still are really enthusiastic about it if the environment supported it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
The enthusiasm would be there.
Yeah.
If the respect was there, if the support systems were truly there, not just in theory and not just with banners on the walls and, little acronyms that, and a social emotional learning program, has us writing on the walls. But like, truly, if I need you and if my students need something and it's a feasible thing, you don't push me off for 3 months.
Right.
Like, you do what you can to help me. So if teachers had more of that, the enthusiasm would be palpable. Right now, what you're seeing is the opposite because that's missing.
Yeah. So how has it been like, because you always develop stuff being a teacher, curriculums and different things like that. How has that been similar or much different than coming up with ideas for your business?
I have literally, as a special educator and having students of such varying levels every year of my career, literally every year of my career. I've always had to take what the kids are supposed to be learning and tailoring it so that my kids can actually learn it and get the most out of it.
Yeah.
So I think what that has done for me was kept me in the loop with kids all these years. So yeah, I'm 55, I'm almost 50. Oh, wait, I'm 54, right?
Yeah,
Almost 54. But I know the kind of music they like. I know what they like to do. I know they love TikTok. And I know that, all of these different things, I can use them to my advantage and not use them against me.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And infuse those really, really, really important parts of their culture right now, like their pop culture, to get them motivated to the things that they need to learn, not just look at it as something they,
But what about like so when you work for somebody, the customer is there for you. So now you have to find the customer. That's where I'm going at.
Okay.
So how you been enjoying that part of it?
I
like reaching. I know you're reaching out to people.
Yes,
yeah,
the networking aspect of it.
Yeah, because when you work for somebody, like
you're right. My
what I
class
always
is there
tell
every
people,
September.
the craft after a while is I don't want to say easy. You just become a pro at it, and for you, but now it's like, okay, I can't do my craft unless my phone rings.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So how has that been?
It's been interesting. So I'm learning.
You do enjoy it though, too.
I do like it. I do
think
like
you do,
it,
yeah.
and I'm liking honing like my message.
Yeah.
You and I, you've been working with me really closely on my branding and like what kind of image I want to portray out there and, show the customers and, to network. So that's been really helpful to me. And just like watching you and surrounding myself with like-minded, which like you always say, if you surround yourself with people who have that same kind of entrepreneurial mindset, you learn so many things just by watching. So, even yesterday while you were, just on the phone with somebody else, I paid attention to that. I'm enjoying it. I'm a social
it's fun,
person.
Right? Yeah.
The great thing about me, and I think this is part of my teaching, but also what I've done and we've talked about side hustles. Teachers have always had side hustles. I love when the person gets it, or if there's success in the event or something like that. So knowing that what I'm creating is going to be such an amazing experience for whoever is going to be involved, in my mind, is what's so much fun when I'm networking with people. So that, I think, is what I'm loving about it.
Yeah, what I love is you're not shy. You're calling people up. You're reaching out.
I am. I'm doing what I have to do.
And you're doing that because you believe in the program, which is exciting.
And I want, I believe, and I want to start the fun, right? Like, so that's like, to me, it's like, I can't wait to bring this to the world. And that's what I'm so excited. So I guess that's why I'm a little, I've always been that way. When I think that's part of my ADHD and my learning. Like when I know something can be great for other people, I just want to share.
No, exactly.
I want to share.
Yeah.
Like right now, you know what I mean? So like
I feel the same way. Like with my business, sometimes it's like when somebody doesn't hire me and I know my price is really good, I'm like, you're making a big mistake,
Right.
man. Like you may.
Right.
This is probably one of the dumbest things. And I honestly believe that a lot of times. You know,
Me
like
too.
the guy I was talking to yesterday that you overheard. Like if he doesn't hire me, it's just stupid. You know what I mean?
It's so true. And I think I'm at the point in my career. It's funny that you say that. Like when you talk about how I work for somebody, I think I'm at the point in my career where I'm like, if my administrators aren't utilizing my skills as much as they could be, because I beg them to include me.
Yeah.
I beg them to include me in curriculum decisions. I beg them to include me in professional development things. I beg the school district in our town to include me in things like that.
Yeah.
Like, so I think I'm at the point now in my own, like, I know my stuff. I know I have proven it, you know,
Yeah.
I have, if I really needed to, point out test scores and increased in skills, like I have the data, I think over so many years to show that what I have testimony from students and parents and all of those things. Like you said, I haven't ever had to bring my customers to me, but I've still proven myself
you
time and
definitely
time
have,
again. So I think that kind of stuff, if you don't recognize the value in my skills, like shame on you. I think that's where I'm at in
That's a healthy confidence.
Right? Like I'm just, I'm willing to help you, but and assist and be part of the team. I'm finding in education, the higher ups don't want to hear from the teachers.
Right, yeah.
They don't want to hear from the boots on the ground. They say they do, but in theory they do.
And I hear that
application, not necessarily.
Just being involved with the local Board of Education, paying attention to it. Like you hear that a lot with what you just said. So it's not just coming from you or just your district.
And then you and I have talked about like there's such budget issues within these districts, and there's so many different ways they can cut costs.
But they don't want to cut anything.
Right. But they're looking in the wrong ways. They're trying to, you and I just said this, they're watering down the wrong things.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that it's that lack of innovative thinking, the lack of the out of the box thinking that's getting in the way of being able to streamline certain programs.
Exactly. Yeah.
And certain services.
So let's go back to Unlearn to Learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give the audience an example of the types of courses you're going to be offering.
So our first course, that's one of our signature courses, and I'm so fortunate to say that you are the instructor and I am the curriculum writer of the.
She's going to help me though.
Yeah, I will help deliver the instruction, but the expertise is yours. Is called Digital Footprint, and it's geared towards 9th grade through 12th grade. If there are 8th graders who feel as though this is something that they want to, embark on that early, that's but not earlier than that. And what we will be working on is helping these students literally from the get-go in front of their computers, starting working on their own branding, what they want the world to see that represents them, and then to build their website from there with the help of you and me, and be able to maintain that website when they walk away. So it's not just learning the skill in isolation, but then it's being able to take that skill out and use it as a marketing tool for them in college, in career, in whatever way they want to use it. So that's our first one.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
But I am so fortunate over my 30-year career that I have literally worked with kids from 3 years old all the way up to college, adult. I mean, I've had students that are 60, in my college courses. And what I find is that I love to work with adults as much as I love to work with kids.
Yeah. Because they really want to be there.
Not just that, the life stories that they bring and that they infuse into the classroom or studio environment, wherever you are, it's so valuable to everybody.
Yeah, I got you.
And so I want to do those types of courses also. So bringing in just fun, enriching courses to maybe senior citizens. So what I'm also trying to do is connect with senior communities, assisted living and nursing homes to bring low.
You are doing. She's not trying.
I am doing. Sorry, I am doing. Yes, I know, right?
Trying's a powerless word, entrepreneur.
I am in the process of infusing, making your own terrarium. It's called Roots and Rising, and it's going to be making their own little terrarium in a very low stress, calming environment that will be a guided experience for them. And then they can take their little terrarium and go and keep it, you know, alive and happy, and, you know, it'll bring some joy to them every single day. So
that's great.
It really, Unlearn to Learn is something that there's something for everybody. And I think the beauty of Unlearn to Learn also is that I don't know everything. And one of the things that has helped me survive in my career as a teacher is leaning on other people in my area who know more than me about a lot of things.
Intellectual humility, knowing what you don't know.
Exactly. And then going to the people who do to help you in that way. So I would love to curate classes and collaborations and other things with experts. With your digital presence. We have another person who's in the mental health field who will be collaborating with me on mindful courses and experiences like that. I also have another educator who is an expert in writing and creative writing. So we will be embarking this summer on a journaling course for adults. So a creative writing, you know, just outlet for adults to come in and, you know, maybe they enjoyed English class when they were in high school, but then it just stopped and they don't know where to go and they would love the experience or the outlet, but need, you know, a little push. So that would be a safe environment for them. And we are always open to new ideas. I mean, if you have an idea, if somebody wants to bring an idea to me, the great thing about my skills is that I can build a curriculum around any topic.
And she can. She's very good.
I know how to teach. So if you give me the topic, I can find a great way to deliver the instruction or the experience to somebody.
And that's the other great thing about having your own business is that you have that freedom.
Right.
Entrepreneurship is always freedom for me. Not freedom where I can take off whenever you want, because you can't.
And
but freedom with my ideas.
Worker.
Yeah,
like,
you are.
I'm a ball buster. I'm not a lazy person.
No.
I'm up at 5 a.m, even when I don't need to be.
She'll text you at 4:30 sometimes.
Well, sometimes. Not everybody, thank God. Not everybody. And he puts it on Do Not Disturb, so that's good. But my mind is always working. And I learned that as I'm getting older, I need that stimulation to keep it going. So yes, this is my chapter 2.
Explain a little bit about the unlearn to learn. I think that we should touch. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
I think it does go back to that CRA, that concrete representational abstract process. So throughout most of history, really, learning has been, you sit in a classroom of 25 to 30 students and the teacher is at the front of the room, and that's how you and I learned. There was one teacher in the front of the room and we learned. And then, you know, I guess sort of like 6th grade and up, they broke us up into like reading groups, but you were still listening to the teacher and then it was really still like you had to be engaged. There wasn't movement that much. And then they moved away from that, where they now do sort of have project-based learning where you're given the skill and then you're sent. And that is, it's more in honors, you know, it's more when they feel as though those students have the cognitive skills to be able to handle the facilitation of their own learning. But those experiences are not often given to those tier 2 students. And when they are, they're lost already. So it's in those, it's in those really formidable years. Kids love school up until 3rd grade. Yeah. So 3rd grade starts the high stakes testing, and also 3rd grade kind of stops like the fun school. remember we were talking just a little while ago about like the sand table and the water table in kindergarten and the kitchen, and everything was tactile.
Yeah.
Everything was hands-on.
Yeah, and just interactive.
Right.
It was very interactive, because I remember, like, my favorite thing about school was kindergarten when I was learning how to read.
And you didn't have to sit for
Right.
90 minutes.
You're sitting on
as
a rug.
a five-year-old at a desk.
No, it was on a rug, laying down, or
Right,
it was
exactly. And the teachers weren't on top of you saying, sit up,
Yeah.
sit up, sit up. It just didn't happen. Now, by the time third grade comes, they've already had to sit in those seats for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
For 5-year-olds,
Right.
6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. And now they're so burnt out in the minds, if they can't keep up, if they're those, those tier 2 those kids that it's very difficult. They've checked out, and learning becomes a chore. So that happened to me.
Yeah.
And I found that when I became in charge of my own learning, I learned what worked for me.
Right.
So Unlearn to Learn was born from me having to unlearn what we as a society were expected to think learning looked like.
Right.
And to unlearn those rules, even in my classroom as a teacher, that it's okay if I'm breaking the traditional rules, because my kids don't learn that way.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I would love people to unlearn that traditional model and learn that learning looks so different for everybody.
And it should be fun.
Right. Unlearn the chore part of it and learn the fun part of it.
Right.
I think that's what I want to do. I want to bring back the joy of learning. I always say I'm forever in the classroom because I don't think I could have, if you would have told my 8th grade self that, or my 9th grade self that when I got my first F in algebra, that I would be a teacher, B, a special education teacher, C, 2 master's degrees, and D, would go for my doctorate right now if there was something that, like, I would have told you you're nuts,
course,
like you're crazy. But I love learning because I know how to learn.
Yeah.
So I want that for everybody else.
Let's jump to somebody in your situation. Like, so I know a lot of people who have the opportunity to retire on the young side. Like, let's just say they're an EMT, and I have a friend that's an EMT, and I was like, you've been doing this since you've been 18. You are a true expert at something. And he needs to make more money. Like, a lot of these people need to make more money when they retire. I can't get them to jump in to, let's figure out something.
So it's very interesting that you say that, because I approached my friend who is an expert in creative writing.
Right.
And she is literally one of the best English teachers I have ever met.
Which is very much needed.
It is very much needed, right?
Ridiculous.
And she's a great teacher, not just good at her craft. Like, she's not just a great writer. She doesn't just love books.
She knows how to teach.
And she is so passionate about it that it spills over into her students. I've watched it. We've co-taught together. Educators, and I imagine this goes for other fields as well. Like, you're so in that world that you don't realize that your skills can transcend so many other areas. So what I say to somebody like that is, after 18 years of being an expert in that field, you'd be a great teacher.
Yeah.
You may not know how to teach it, but that's where I come in.
Right, I gotcha.
So I said to my friends, I think I think you have an audience. I think if we created this experience, I don't love to always call them courses. Some of them are not just courses, because you're not necessarily learning something, but you're experiencing something.
Yeah.
People who are coming to a creative writing class know how to write. But they're experiencing how to tap into that creative side of them, and then we would be helping channel into, certain areas. But when I said to her, you're an expert in this, it was almost like, oh my God, you're right. Yeah. I'm an expert in that. Actually, you're right. Like, just
True
because
expert.
you teach 8th graders or 5th graders or 4th graders, it doesn't reduce your expertise.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that I would say to somebody like that, let's find what you are passionate about. And you're an expert in so many things you don't realize you're an expert in.
Right.
So let's find what those two things are and let's bring it to the world.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would say.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that. Because there's so many people, like you said, that are just true expert at things, and just give CPR classes.
Right.
Go around to corporations, offer CPR classes.
And it's daunting, right? Like the curriculum aspect of it is daunting because you know that there needs to be objectives and there needs to be stuff when you walk away from it, and the legitimacy of a course, right? You can't just go in and be like, hey, I want to teach CPR, right? So that structure and paperwork aspect of it is the part that could be daunting to somebody to then turn around and say, I'm not an expert.
Right. No, I understand.
They need to separate the two. Like, you are an expert, and that may not be what you're the expert in, but that expertise that you bring can be paired with somebody else's expertise.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience? How can they reach out to you?
My website is U2Lstudio.com, and on there you can ask questions. You can explore the different studio courses that we would be offering in the future. If you have an idea, please drop me a line, email me. You can find my phone number on there. You can find my email address on there. There are many questions that are already answered on there. You can also just look at the different age groups that we can. If you have an area that you want us to come to you with, that's another thing that I want to stress on here.
Yeah, make sure you get that.
The great thing about U2L is that we are not a brick and mortar. Right now, I want to bring these experiences to you. So if you have an experience that you would love to bring to your area, and maybe you're not, geographically, in Middlesex County, I will travel to you. We can collaborate. We can find a space that would be, geographically.
Even corporations. Too.
Right. Corporations, companies, real estate agencies that want to do professional development for their staff. I would love to connect with anybody who has a need, a professional development need, a learning experience need, or an enrichment experience need that you would love to bring to your company. I have curated many a professional development workshop for a very large staff on multiple occasions. So there's really no audience that's too small or too big, and there's no subject that's off. So
that's it.
We'd love to hear from you.
Well, it's great having you on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.